Starkey, where did it fall short in your mind in the Caribbean for the T20 World Cup?
2 losses.
There
simply.
you go. Bang.
No, look, obviously the last 2 games we played weren't our best cricket, or obviously not the best results not the result we wanted. So whether it was probably a misread of conditions maybe in that the Afghanistan game, they obviously played some good cricket, and we probably didn't play our best stuff. I think our fielding was probably a little bit short throughout the whole tournament, and I think they came up a few times, the catching percentages I think had, and it was towards the bottom. So that might play a part in overall, especially in T20 cricket when everything else is so close together. I think between teams, fielding can change those.
Well, that was an interesting one for me, and I'm interested to know, because we pride ourselves on being the most athletic and best fielding team in the world. Were conditions difficult with wind? Was there things that we didn't see back here that contributed to the way we field, or was it just tiredness, for example, coming out of an IPL and a long campaign?
I don't know if it was tiredness. I think those of us who go to IPL know that we've got cricket before and after and during, and that's what we want to play our best cricket international wise anyway. So you can't put it down to that. I hope not anyway. I think wind always plays a factor in the West Indies, and guys that have played there, you've played plenty there, and at all the grounds, wind plays a factor, whether it be hitting to a short side, long side, and the way the wind blows. Maybe that had something to do with some of the catching throughout the tournament, not just with our guys, but certainly throughout. But there is a fair bit made of whether it's target the short or target with the wind when you bat, and try and make them hit against the wind or against the short side when you bowl. So the grounds in the West Indies all have a wind factor.
All crosswind?
Yeah, all crosswind. There's some of them can be swirly, but I think a lot of the grounds there, they have their main stands are at either end. Barbados a little bit different with sort of 3 stands, but predominantly a lot of those island grounds have got a stand at either end and pretty open through the sides. So
and do what you want on those sides there.
Some might have a pool and whatever they are. Pretty cheap beers, I think, too. So, there's a fair bit going on. But
interesting smells as well, I've heard.
If you're feeling on the boundary.
But more relaxed. And you love Doritos.
How would you know keeping in the middle?
I could get it. My first test, I remember my brothers sitting in the grandstand. After the game, I just wanted a packet of Doritos. I don't know what. That relaxed.
Hey, the England game, Starkey, and not the shenanigans, but the talk around England. Basically, you kept England in the tournament. Australia kept England in the tournament. I hope they realise this. I mean, things have changed in the last week or so. Joe Root's come out and said that maybe Johnny should have stayed in his crease, and we've helped England out. I think it's bringing the two nations together. It's outstanding. But was there any real talk of what was going on? Did you have a giggle at what Josh Hazlewood, with his straight face, said in that press conference about England and their predicament?
Just go back a moment there. Do you reckon that with all that's brought the two countries together, that Tim Payne and Ben Stokes just destroyed it all in a moment after some of those comments I've seen?
It's a good point, actually. Sorry, I forgot about Payne.
It's been funny sitting back and watching all that unfold.
Yeah.
Fox Sports News in the morning, and you're like, well, there's something else said.
How is the relationship? Because you've got great mates. You played at Yorkshire. You get on well with Joe Root. You played with Johnny Bairstow. How is it? Is it just media talk, or is there a bit of friction? I
don't think there is friction.
Yeah.
I think that's the nature of world cricket nowadays. Is whether all the guys come off an IPL where I played with Salty there and caught up with him or chat to him still. Yeah. And then, like you say, I've played a lot of cricket against Joe and Johnny, and obviously played a lot against them for England. I don't think that. I think it's a fair bit made up in sort of the outside, whether it be media or documentaries or quotes or whatever you might have. I still think it's certainly both teams want to beat each other and beat each other well, and love beating England. We do almost better than anyone in the world. But I think post game and around that stuff, the relationship's pretty good. So I think there's a lot of tongue in cheek and something like what Josh Hazlewood says I think predominantly tongue in cheek, and then it was sort of blown out of proportion with the English media going, well, geez, we better suspend people, we better do this, that, and the other. And obviously they're the barometer on spirit of cricket and moral
Well, that's an
victories and the
episode.
rest of it. But yeah, it didn't end up that way, and England stayed in and
Yeah.
progressed further than we did anyway.
Yeah, exactly. In the end. Got to bring it up. Rip the Band-Aid off here. The Afghanistan game. Sitting that one out. You're laughing about it now. Were you laughing about it at the time?
No, that's 2 World Cups in a row.
We've had our
That's what
say
it is.
here, and Hads broke it down pretty succinctly, and I chimed in off the top turnbuckle as well on occasion. Still couldn't work it out. But in all seriousness, you were in the middle of it all. How was it relayed to you, and how do you feel about it now?
Just the matchup they saw. They saw the previous games on that ground in St Vincent's being spin playing a big part, and obviously Ash and the left armour enticing them to make a change. So yeah, is what it is. I think Ash bowled pretty well in the power play. Yeah, again they probably played the spin quite well, and batting first probably assessed the conditions a little bit better than we did, and then we had a couple of little stumbles that in the end cost us a game. I think that just set us back, and yeah, ultimately they played the better cricket. Probably a fielding that cost us again that game, I think. So yeah, it is what it is, and that meant we had to win against India, and fell short there as well.
Is it easy to skip on to the next thing, Hads? You've been in that situation where you've been left out of a team that you reckon you should have been playing in?
Oh, I can understand. As we spoke about in the time, I can understand the matchups. I don't have a problem with the matchups, and it's hard for Starkey to comment. But I thought play the spinner, but the matchup to not play was out of Josh and Cummo. I thought the matchup with Starkey with their top order, you get it right. So. But it's always easy to talk about those things in hindsight. You can go through the game and say, oh, well, that didn't lose the game. We could have got more runs here. We could have taken those catches. But Afghanistan are a really interesting team to play now because we've spoken about they had 9 players in the IPL. And if they get a little sniff, things go their way, they get enough runs, all of a sudden their spinners come into the game, they start to field better. They get a bit boisterous and emotional as well. So they're a tough team to play in that form of the game now.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
They're strong batting. They're strong bowling. They got Rash who everyone has trouble playing. Got some good quicks now. Who've got great skills to swing it both ways. Like you say, in the T20 format, they play a lot of that format, whether it be IPL for Afghanistan in the different leagues. And then you had a couple of batters at the top. Gurbaz was, I think, one of the leading run scorers in the tournament. So they're a hard team to play, and they played some really good cricket.
What's he like? Sorry.
I was just about to say,
He's a
words per minute, he's up there as leading strike rate.
I played with him at KKR.
Yeah.
And obviously he was sort of behind Salty till Salty went had to go back to England, and Gurbaz played the last sort of 3 games and the finals as well. He's very social in terms of likes to chat around the boys. He's good fun.
He could
He's
piss
good
you off
quality.
if you're playing against him, couldn't he?
I could see it.
Yeah.
But he was great to play with.
Yeah,
He's good
100%.
fun. He's a lovely character.
Yeah.
He just wants to compete with bat and with gloves, and he's a bit like every other keeper in the world. Loves to have a chat, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Mate.
So he'll end up with his own podcast one day for sure. For sure, it's certain. The India game. We've all talked about the schedule and how it just was put on for Indian television, basically. Like, we can laugh about it, but that's the fact
that's
of
what
the
it was
matter.
on for.
That's what's the fact of the matter. So anyway, they didn't win it because of the schedule, India. They won it because they played some damn good cricket.
Yeah.
They had to back that up, and they did. But in terms of your tight turnaround, having to jump around islands and everything like that, is that a factor over there, or is it something that we just make up as an excuse as Australians and say, oh, well, that was the reason?
It's not the reason, but it didn't help. No, it was a pretty hectic schedule for everyone in the Super 8s. I think that was probably maybe a misread. The fact that the front half of the tournament was probably more spread out, and then you hit the Super 8s and everyone was... Travel around the West Indies is not the easiest thing to do. Certainly not to travel home from. But
How long did it take? 52 hours?
Oh, pretty close actually.
Oh,
Joshy weighed in. I put the stopwatch on. I think it was door to door. It was about 48 hours.
Awesome.
But no, for us, we played 3 different games in 3 different islands, which means a flight.
Propellers on the planes?
No, but I think one of the engines went off at one point. Timmy David was sitting next to one, and we sure it went off. But we had the
Should have just rung Mumbai. Got there playing.
Yeah, we had the 2 night games, and then obviously the third was a day game. So yeah, it wasn't the best preparation, I guess you say. We had a delayed flight out of St Vincent's, got in. There's a 90-minute drive from the airport to the hotel in St Lucia, and I think our bags got in late that night, and we had a 10 o'clock or 10:30 a.m. 10 o'clock toss. So
Wow.
It was a quick turnaround, but that's yeah. So I think that the back end could have been spread out a little bit for everyone, because everyone is in the same boat in terms of play, travel, play.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Slightly different timings, but
India had they had a really good break leading into the game there.
Freshened up.
They knew exactly where they were playing.
Yeah.
They had all day games.
Rohit Sharma, what was he like to bowl to?
I've played it a lot against him.
Yeah. The current form, the captain, the guy who's led India to this.
He had a good tournament, especially the back end.
Yeah.
I think that he targeted that wind in St Lucia as well. That was at one end, I think. The one end went, if you look at runs from each end, it was probably the one end went for a lot more than the other.
Which end did you bowl from?
That end.
Thanks, Skip.
It was probably a couple of. It was one. I think I had 5 bad balls and he hit them all for 6. So
Awesome.
no, it was. We thought that it was close to par, perhaps maybe a little bit over par, but it was the best wicket in the World Cup, I think, that we all played on. In terms of runs scored, and I think it was probably the quickest wicket out of the whole West Indies, but it was certainly the best wicket. That was what we played on. So certainly chaseable, and we sort of we were on target for a while, and then just a couple of hiccups and some good bowling from them, and just set us back.
We talked about Dave Warner. It was his last, we think, match, but he's actually declared his availability for the Champions Trophy if selected. How do you view that, Hads, in terms of what we're trying to look for the future? What do you look at the now? It's an opportunity to win a trophy, an ICC trophy, but is it, this is a good opportunity to plan for the next World Cup?
I think David's had a wonderful career, and I think this is just a perfect end for Davey. I think he was just having a bit of fun with the media and everyone as he left. Mate, he's on holidays now. If you look at his socials, he's having the time of his life. And mate, yeah, if he was playing first class cricket and things like that, maybe. But I think he's going to go off into the commentary box, play franchise cricket around the world. So he's had a wonderful career. I just think Davey's having a bit of fun with his family and friends on his way out.
Did he have one last Davey special in terms of he knew someone that could get something to organise for the team? Because I've heard this about Dave Warner.
He puts on good parties.
He's just got good contacts all around the world. Great contact book. Was there any of that on this tour?
He is unbelievable at that in terms of whether it be a catamaran in the West Indies or getting us onto a private golf course in St Lucia or booking tee times ahead of schedule. He's been fantastic.
Yes is the answer to that question on this tour.
Yeah, I think he had organised a boat or a catamaran or something for after the game, and then with trying to leave the West Indies after you've been knocked out of a tournament, sort of the ICC just go, well, you're someone else's problem. So we were sort of spread across 3 days, and I think Davey got out quick smart, so that sort of went against the wall.
Wasn't like 2007 where you ended up on James Packer's yacht.
That was a great night. That was a great 24 hours leading into Mr. Cricket was outstanding.
Yes.
And I remember even the coach, John Buchanan, found some cigars and everyone...
Ned Flanders got involved.
Yeah, we had to leave the boat at, I don't know what hours. It was, I think the sun was coming up. I'm not sure, all going down. But I know John Buchanan hid when we all went off and he watched the sun go down. Or up, I'm not sure. But I know it was. I know he stayed on the boat a lot longer. Mate, it was great. I remember Hoggy and Watto were lucky to be alive. Actually, I don't know how.
The jet ski.
The jet ski. You heard about that?
Everyone's heard about
Mate,
this.
we were watching them. You could see. You're thinking how they let these two. Then they just hit, and everyone shut up for 10 seconds and thought, "Uh-oh." Then once they come up and they were right, they just thought, "You idiots!" And what are you doing? But I don't know how they got on the jet ski.
Hey, Starkey, the tournament as a whole, how it was set up, how it was run. The next one is predominantly in Sri Lanka, I think. I think India are helping out with some venues. I'm not sure where the final, but pretty sure it's Sri Lanka's tournament. But, I mean, the format, how it's done, it's going to get bigger and bigger, this T20, because franchise cricket's getting so big. So they're going to put everything they can into it.
Yeah, they are. And it seems like it's the format to expand on or to
have 20 teams.
Yeah. So I think it was a good thing having some teams that, well, they're still called associate teams, but I don't think in T20 cricket you can call that, because that brings everyone closer together. There's one or two moments that can change a game, whereas Test cricket's all about, or it's more so on the skill. So I think that was good in terms of having 20 teams involved. I didn't mind the 4 groups of 5. I didn't like the pre-seeding. I think that was poorly done.
Did you know about that going into the tournament, or was it?
I had no idea.
Midstream, you found out about.
I had no idea personally. I think probably maybe half and half our team knew and didn't know. I think that could change things, particularly in the Super 8s, with where you sit. Whether
no carryover points.
Well, that too. We finish ahead of England, and we end up on where we were pre-seeded on the second side. Yeah. I'm not saying that's going to change anything, but all of a sudden you're in a different group.
It's mind-blowingly stupid that results from the group stage don't count. It counts on a pre-seeding. Yeah. What? No other sporting contest. I've never heard of that ever before.
And again, the argument was because it was so hard to get around the West Indies, so for fans to know where your team was playing. So then why don't you have the chock-a-block tournament at the front end and have it spread out the back end? So if you're so worried about people coming or flights or whatever, you have the extra couple of days.
Just taking a note here, Mitch Starc, great administrator, uses common sense.
Yeah. No, there's no common sense in cricket, let's be honest.
Thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.